Hello, everybody. This is Monday, September the 13th. We are officially into Module 4. That is week 4 of our cost control course. And this week we're going to be dealing with yielding. So I want to kind of break this down, not to deviate away from the terms of applying yields towards different recipes and foods that we would happen to prepare. But I just want to kind of give you a basic definition so that everybody understands yielding better. When you yield something, you take away from it or you happen to reduce it. So one of the things that I want the class to realize is that when you hear that term yield, think about first reduction and taking away. Those are the two main words that you definitely want to associate with the word yielding. Now what I want to do is I want to begin to take that and relate that, the term yielding, to different foods that we might prepare. So yielding could be connected to trimming if you were to peel away certain things. So you have the original form of the substance of food that is set before you, and put yourself in a position of being an actual chef, where now you're preparing that food or that dish for the final preparation process to be able to serve to your customers. So what you're going to do is you're going to trim, you're going to cut, you're going to peel, depending on what the food is. It's a wide variety of examples and illustrations that we can use when it comes to cutting, trimming, or peeling. It depends, again, on what type of food you're preparing. Trimming would be relative to meats, and peeling would be relative to, let's say, potatoes or different types of vegetables. Those are different things to kind of factor into the equation. So with that being said, think about yields and think about reducing, and then apply that as you begin to look into this week's content. So what you need to do is read chapter 4. Chapter 4 is based on yielding. And what I did, of course, what I will do every week is I will put together a PowerPoint presentation. And this is kind of an interlude, an introduction of week 4's material and what we're going to be discussing. So the first thing regarding yields, I talk about the position of the executive chef. And there's some pointers. And there's some responsibilities that come within being an executive chef within a restaurant. Then from there, I kind of lead into the yield percentage. Now, if you notice with this PowerPoint, there's more equations, just like with last week in Chapter 3 and Module 3, where I kind of gave you all equations. So yes, we are going to be dealing with some more mathematical formulas as we get into the Chapter 4 content, into Module 4. So, as I mentioned about yielding, when you reduce something, consider the yield percentage. You're either peeling, trimming, or you're cutting away from the product. So, you have the original form of the product, okay? The textbook kind of talks about it being the unprocessed or the raw or the purchased ingredient. That's not going to be the final dish that you serve to your customer, okay? So the raw, unprocessed, and purchased ingredient is going to turn into a final cooked product. So think about that as you begin to apply that with different yield percentages. So the as purchased product would be the AP, and the EP would be the edible portion. Now, of course, your customers are not going to eat the as purchased product. They're going to be eating the edible portion. That's the portion, of course, that would be more reasonable to feed your customers. So again, looking at yielding, the steps to determine that, begin to look into this. You look into yield percentage when it comes to weights, processes. Also, what you're doing is you're weighing the processed product and you're recording the weight, and then you're entering the results into a formula type form. So I gave examples of yielded formulas, and these are examples that I actually came up with. It is a spin-off from the textbook formulas. You could also look at the textbook formulas as examples and illustrations when it comes to the discussion questions as you begin to answer those discussion questions for your assignment. So, formulas for EP and for AP, I give you examples. And then also conversions, for example. How are we going to convert for, for example, a produce or a vegetable? What is going to be the yield percentage? What are we taking away from the original form, again, of that product? And then also converting the ounces over the pounds, okay, once we figure out that yield formula. So as you notice, we're dealing a lot with percentages, decimals, fractions, and also rounding off to the nearest number. This is about our third week, as a matter of fact, as we've actually encountered different mathematical formulas, when it comes to preparing different foods and dishes. Another one is the as purchased versus the edible cost, and I give you a formula to figure out the cost per weight, as well as the total cost and the total weight. Again, these are formulas that I came up with, but you can also use these formulas and you can connect them with the textbook material that's in Chapter 4. And then also I talked about the butcher's yield test. How's that calculated? Okay, first of all, it's the total weight of each item. We have to look at the purchase price per pound. And then we also have to look at the weight of each item. And we have to multiply that by the purchase price per pound. And I also kind of give a formula when it comes to the butcher's yield test. So how much do we take away from that particular piece of meat that we happen to be preparing? So what's the whole part of the meat and what is the part that we're taking away, which determines our overall cooking loss percentage? So again, another example and illustration that I came up with in terms of formulas when we're looking at the butcher's yield test. So look at the PowerPoint again, and the PowerPoint is to be used as instruction as we enter into the new week and the new module. Your assignment would be 3 discussion questions, just like what we've done the prior 3 weeks. And this is figuring out different mathematical formulas. So I came up with a discussion question regarding yielding, calculating the AP, which is the as purchase, and also the edible portion. And I kind of gave some different types of produce for that first discussion question that you can actually answer. And then, of course, put this in sentence form as well, too, once you're done figuring out these formulas. The same goes for number 2, discussion question 2. I do apply the butcher's yield test towards prime rib. Again, look at my formula examples and illustrations to determine the cooking loss as well as the loss percentage. And then also, question 3 kind of piggybacks a little bit on question 2 when it comes to determining the oven ready value. And then what you want to do is you want to determine the cost per pound, and you will divide that by 16, which is the ounces. And so that would be the final discussion question post within this week that you would actually answer. Now, one thing I wanted to bring to everybody's attention. My intent, if you look at the syllabus, and if you look at the calendar that I provided that tracks our week's progress from week to week, I was going to give the class a quiz this week. I made the decision to delay that quiz until next week. Why? Reason being is because the quiz is going to cover chapters 1 through 4. So I want everyone to comprehend and grasp and get an understanding of the chapter 4 material first before I assign you all the quiz. So coming up in module 5 next week, expect for the quiz to be given. And when that quiz is given, the due date for that quiz will be on a Friday. Friday will be the due date for the quizzes within this course, and that will apply throughout the entire semester. So, there you have it. That's Module 4. Not a lot of content, but as you begin to do your readings, it does get more in-depth with a variety of formulas that I just discussed. Just a reminder, class, September 26th, that will be when the first section of your final paper is due. So I hope that everyone is doing their research and compiling their research and putting it together to be able to write the first section of your final paper. And again, as I had mentioned in the prior weeks, the final paper is going to be scaffolded. We're scaffolding that final paper. So keep in mind, September 26th, that will be a Sunday night, midnight, going into Monday morning. That would be September the 27th. You will be turning in section 1 of your final paper. That will do it for our instruction video for Module 4 for Week 4. If you have any questions, class, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me by email, and also my phone hours are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That is 7 days a week. Okay, everybody, good luck with this week, and I hope that everything goes well, and I will be talking to you soon.